Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm gonna be giving you part 24 of What If Naruto pushed himself to his limit. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also stay in tune for What If Naruto was born in the Uzumaki clan over an Anime King. And I enjoyed that guys. And also, stay in tune for What If Naruto was raised by the Hyuga clan. And enjoyed it as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you guys enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And turn on that bell notification so you can see exactly when I post. And I do hope that you guys enjoy each and every episode. And remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking about to all of you. So without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, Jiraiya was shocked to find out that Nagato was actually the leader of the Akatsuki. He was Pain. As Konan was flying up in the air as Jiraiya began his battle, Jiraiya realizing that staying in this form wouldn't help much, so he summoned one of the toads as he ride the toad's head until he finally achieved Sage Mode. Achieving Sage Mode, he clashed against the three Pains that were now there, but they were still overpowering him as he was unable to release ninjutsu attack, seeing that they could absorb it. And the human path was a great fighter as well. Seeing that the opportunity was bleak, Konan intervened as Nagato was surprised. He asked her what she's doing and she told him that he lost himself a long time ago. She begged him to stop, but he told her that if she's standing in his way, he would put her down. Konan was shocked. Despite their friendship, despite everything, he would just put her down that easily. As she told him no, she won't move. Jiraiya was beyond shock as Konan told him to head towards the east gate as they start to retreat from the village, but Pain sent out the other paths for them. It was then that the battle started to rage even more. As Jiraiya was going through a pipe, his arm was ripped off by one of the paths. As Konan landed right beside him and saw the situation as they were surrounded by the six paths of Pain, Tendo Pain looking out as all of them jump off the balcony coming down towards them. Meanwhile, that was going on, Yujito, she was, bored. As the Raikage had locked her in the village, seeing that the Akatsuki was a big threat right now, and they couldn't go anywhere, she and B. But she was surprised when Amoy and Karu came to them, as the Raikage had a mission for the four of them, including Samui, as they were supposed to head to Kiri and sign the alliance. She figured the reason why she's going to go on this mission is because of her relationship with the Mizukage, as everyone know about she, Naruto, and the Mizukage that were at the Shippuden exams. So with that, they headed off. Meanwhile, Naruto was going back to Konoha. His body was still exhausted after his battle with Madara, but he was surprised when his Harashine seal went off. Someone was in danger, so he told Kakashi to go back to Konoha. As Naruto flashed towards the hidden rain, he saw Jiraiya on the ground. The man was pale and losing a lot of blood, given from his missing arm. As he saw Konan quickly creating a defensive barrier, Naruto came in the center and grabbed the both of them as he flashed away. Arriving in the field, he collapsed on his knees. Teleporting two people was difficult and he was already exhausted. Pulling out his pouch as he took some pills to get back a boost of energy. As Konan looked over Jiraiya as best as she could. As Naruto brought them to Konoha, Tsunade and Shizune quickly rushed to Jiraiya's aid as they brought him to the medical station, seeing that he was losing too much blood. As Tsunade was in there with him, as Shizune came down and looked on Konan's injuries, as Konan thanked her. As they went off, the see Naruto standing in front of the medical department, where the red light was on, signifying that Jiraiya was inside along with Tsunade. Despite being tired and exhausted, Naruto stood there as he wanted to make sure that his sensei was okay. So yeah guys, that was basically last where we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, what do you say we begin this new episode? Konan walked up behind Naruto, along with Shizune. "Naruto-kun," she said. As she walked up to him and wrapped her arms around him. Naruto was taller than her now. When they first met, they were on the same height, but now, he towered over her, as her head can fit right under his chin. Naruto's chin rested on top of her head as he held her tight, as he tried to calm his mind, tried to calm himself. "It will be okay," she whispered. They parted slightly, as she tried to offer him a reinforced smile, but it was forced. Despite that, she continued, "Everything is going to be fine. Jiraiya-sensei wouldn't let something like this kill him so easily." "Yeah," he said. It was clear that he didn't believe that though, as he looked over the closed door. She watched as he closed his eyes and grit his teeth. "Are you okay?" she asked. "We should have told him," Naruto said, his voice breaking so ever slightly. "About us?" "About everything," Naruto said. "I should have realized that eventually he would figure out everything on his own. The Hidden Rain is the only nation that has been totally isolated from the rest. It is the perfect place for the Akatsuki's base. I should have realized that he would have eventually figured this out and go there himself to check it out." "You cannot predict the future, Naruto-kun," said Konan. "At the time, we thought it was for the best. We both know how Jiraiya-sensei think. If you had told him back then, he would have still gone there himself. Maybe things would have been different, but maybe they wouldn't have. We can't know for sure. All we can do now is hope that he will pull through this." "Right," said Naruto. Excuse me?" said Shizune, bringing attention to herself after watching all of that. As Naruto and Konan looked at her, she turned her attention to Naruto. She wanted to ask this question for a long time now. "Naruto, who is this?" "Oh, that's right, I haven't introduced you yet, have I?" Naruto said. As they went over, "This is Konan, and Konan, this is Shizune. It's a pleasure to meet you," said Konan, as she bowed slightly in respect. Shizune was a bit disappointed, seeing how this woman and Naruto talked. There was something else, but she wasn't going to focus on that right now. As she returned the gesture, "It's a pleasure to meet you as well." Shizune then came back up as she was about to say something, but the light on the door then came off. As Tsunade came out, "Tsunade-sama," said Shizune, as the three of them walked over. "How is everything?" Naruto asked. Before Tsunade even had a chance to speak. "Is he alright? Did he make it through? How is he doing?" Tsunade raised a hand right in front of his face, as she released a tired sigh. After a few seconds, she realized that Naruto would interrupt her. She spoke. "It was come and go for a while, but don't worry, Jiraiya will be fine." The relief washed over the area as Konan and Naruto closed their eyes and said a secret thank you. As Tsunade was looking at Konan, deciding that she would get answers to who this woman was and why she looked so familiar. But she will have to talk about that later and why Naruto wasn't with his squad. She decided to tell them about Jiraiya's condition first. "His right arm was gone completely, and since you didn't have it with you, I can't reattach it, even if you did bring the arm. The wound was starting to get infected. I am not so sure it would have worked. In the end, I was forced to cauterize the wound. This will hamper his ability to use ninjutsu, but I'm sure he'll find a way around that when he wakes up." There were several other problems as well, including that he had a broken ribcage and a few shattered bones. His left lung has also been punctured by several bone fragments from his ribs. Well, as things stand, he was very lucky that you managed to get him here when you did. A few minutes later and he would have died from any of the internal injuries that he suffered. Everyone winced at the number of injuries that he had, but at least he was alive. That counts for something, right? "Can we see him?" Naruto asked. Tsunade shook her head no. "I put him into a coma so that his injuries can heal without him aggravating them." She then gave Naruto a small glare. "I am also going to need a mission brief from you, as well as an explanation why you're here without your squad, and who this woman is." Naruto sighed. He should have expected something like this. "Right, let's go to your office," Naruto said. "This explanation will take a while, and it isn't something that you want to be public knowledge." Time skip. Tsunade was rubbing her forehead, as just when she thought that they have everything under control, he just dropped this bombshell on her. This boy was going to force her into early retirement from stress. "So you're telling me that the Uchiha Madara that is supposed to be leading the Akatsuki from the shadows is really someone else, impersonating Uchiha Madara?" She had just been given a report on what happened in their capturing Itachi mission. While she was pleased to know that they captured Sasuke, this information on this Tobi was troubling. This man was a completely unknown, seeing that they were dealing with someone who can control the Kyuubi, just like Madara, and Madara was said to be on par with her grandfather. Hoshirama Senju, who was one of the most powerful ninja in the elemental nations. But that was at least a relief that that monster wasn't back. If Madara had been in this time, it would have been more difficult. But this man, if he know how to control the Nightingale as well, he must somehow be linked to Madara in some way. The Kyuubi seemed to think so, Naruto said. And he know Madara personally. He has very much hatred for the man. And I trust the Kyuubi judgment on these things. Are you sure you're not misplacing your trust, said Tsunade. This is the being that almost destroyed Konoha, you know. I doubt that the Kyuubi would lie about this, Naruto said. It doesn't benefit him from lying to me and withholding information that can make him become a tool again by the Uchiha slaver. If there was one thing that Naruto knew about the fox, that he hated to be manipulated or controlled in any way. He worked with Naruto because it was a benefit to him right now, so that he wouldn't be sealed into that statue. That does make sense, said Tsunade. I suppose I have to trust you about the Kyuubi then. Now that we have that out of the way, you can tell me who this is, and why she ended up with a half-dead Jiraiya. Naruto went silent for the first time for a long while. It was hard. Yes, he was going to tell her, but how do we start? Telling Tsunade that this woman was one of the women that he was going to marry, or that she was a part of the organization that was after the Bijus. It's not like he can just come out and say, this is my bride-to-be, Konan. I'm sure you remember her from when the both of you met in the second Great Ninja War. Oh, and by the way, she's also working with Akatsuki, or you know, the S-class criminals who are trying to steal the Bijus, especially the one inside of me. But don't worry, she's no longer. Agree with your ideals, and she is now my spy in said organization. Yeah, he doesn't see that going over real well. This requires more subtlety. As he looked towards Tsunade, do you remember? When I arrived back, I refused to reveal two of the women that I was going to marry, he said. Yes, said Tsunade, you wouldn't even reveal to me, saying that the less people know, the more safe that she was, said Tsunade, looking over at Konan. You're telling me this is one of your wives? Yes, Naruto said. Her name is Konan. It's a pleasure to see you again, Tsunade-sama, Konan finally spoke up, since the meeting started. See me again? Said Tsunade. Are you telling me that we met before? That is correct. You may not remember me, but I was one of the war orphans that Jiraiya looked after in the Hidden Rain during the Second Shinobi War. As Tsunade didn't like to remember that war, seeing that she lost so much back then, but she did remember meeting two boys and a girl. The girl with blue ear and golden eyes, and an origami flower in her ear. Blinking several times, she looked at Konan as she overlapped the image in her mind of that young girl. Yes, it was her. But much older. Kid, Tsunade growled out. You better have a good reason for marrying someone that is old enough to be your mother, said Tsunade. Huh? Naruto blinked. Konan blinked. As Naruto blinked once more for good measure. But May's almost twice my age, Naruto pointed out. Doesn't that make her old enough to be my mother as well? That was not even mentioning Yujito and Yujeo. They were in their mid-20s as well. The only one that was close to his age was Koyoke, who was only 20 years old. Even then, the only reason marriage was considered legal is because he's a shinobi, and therefore an adult. And as things stand, the only reason I'm tolerating your relationship with me is because I see that she loves you, said Tsunade, giving him a stern look. Even now, a part of me is telling me not to let her anywhere near you because of your age difference. And this woman right here, she's at least over 10 years older than me. That means she's at least 20 years older than you. As Naruto's lip turned into a thin line, he thought that Tsunade would be, well, with him being with Konan. Yeah, she was older, but she was one of Jiraiya's students and she did love him. Before any of them could say anything, Konan spoke. While it is true I am technically 20 years older than Naruto-kun, that is only partially correct. You see, due to an incident a few years ago, before the Third Great Ninja War, Nagato, or Pain, as how he idolized himself, he became crippled. This allowed him to create his path, where he splits up his abilities into 6 different bodies, being forced to use his jutsu, greatly weaken his Rinnegan, and also make him vulnerable, if people know how to exploit it. Because of this, we came up with a backup plan. Should Nagato ever died, I would implant the Rinnegan in my own eyes and continue his work. Tsunade raised the eyebrow. That is very interesting and all, but what does that have to do with you and Naruto age difference? Because we were not aware how long it will take for us to accomplish our goals, Nagato felt it would be best if I lived longer. For the past 18 years, he's been using a modified version of the Geru, Rain Tensei Jutsu, which when used normally, he could revive a person that recently died. However, the modified version is different that it stores souls in the King of Hell, and then convert them into a medical chakra to rejuvenate the body. In other words, it's Tsunade cutting Konan off. It's capable of turning back the hands of time, or stalling it, said Konan. Which is what happened to me. While I've technically lived for 42 years, my body has not aged since I was 24 years old. Huh? Well, that would explain why you don't look your age, said Tsunade. As Naruto smiled a small bit, he heard a hint of jealousy inside of Tsunade's voice. He could only wonder how pissed Tsunade was. Her young look was because of a transformation. Well, her jutsu, but Konan was naturally young. A few seconds later, Naruto blinked. Wait, how come I didn't know anything about this, he said. I didn't think that it was relevant at the time, Konan said. Would knowing that I was physically younger would have made a difference? Well, no, he said. Then it doesn't matter, does it, she asked, a slight smile. And besides, I never really thought about her age, until Tsunade-sama brought it up. Which was true, ever since they met, Konan never really thought about his age. While sometimes he acted childish, more than not, he showed a maturity of someone that was 3 times his age. Because of that, she always saw him as a man. Tsunade sighed. I still don't like it, she said. Even if you claim that you are still physically young, I still don't like how intimate the both of you are in your relationship. However, both of you are consenting adults, and furthermore ninja. I can't tell you how to live your life. I will let this go under one condition, she said, pointing at Konan. That you never betray the love and trust that he has given you. I give you my word I will never betray Naruto, Konan said. Naruto is the only light I have left in this world of darkness, and the only person that can truly understand me. Even if I didn't love him, I will never betray him. I'll hold you to that, said Tsunade. Now, since we got this out of the way, why don't you tell me how you two know each other? You better break out the steak for this one, Hokage-sama, Naruto said, using a respectful title. You know what? She brought out a bottle of steak and 3 cups as she poured him a drink. Alright, kid. Begin. Right, Naruto said, as he took the cup and drank it first. You see, it all started when I infiltrated the Hidden Rain. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Rain, the rain was pouring down as usual, as Pain stood on the balcony, as the rain was hitting the roof, like thousands of beating drums, as he was using Tendo Pain as his path, as he just looked out at the city, as the heavens cry. Madara, he said. He did not turn as a swirling vortex opened up, and Tobi appeared out of it. You failed to keep the Kyuubi Jinchuriki occupied, because of his entrance into my plan. Jiraiya survived, and now he knows where my base is located. The boy is stronger than I thought he would be, said Tobi, as he walked towards Pain. There was a limp in his steps, a sign that the leg that he attached to himself was still giving him problem. He came to a stop right beside Pain as he looked at the city. I underestimated him, and it cost me. The boy is becoming more trouble than we expected, Pain said, his eyes sweeping over the Hidden Rain. We have underestimated him too much. First he killed Sasori, then he killed Hidan and Kakazu. We need to take care of him. Agreed. Tobi was pissed even though he didn't show it because of the mask. Naruto has messed with his plans so much. It is just beyond him. Everything he has messed up, killing Hidan and Kakazu, taking care of Sasori. As Tobi was pissed. As Tobi then narrowed his eyes. Where's Konan, he said, knowing that she was always here. She's gone, said Pain. She betrayed us. 4. The 9th Jinchuriki. What? If it weren't for the mask, Pain would have seen the surprised expression on Tobi's face. Can you repeat that please, he asked. Konan has betrayed us for the 9th Jinchuriki. When I was fighting against Jiraiya Sensei, she interfered and helped fend me off. Furthermore, she was carrying one of the Jinchuriki Hiraishin kunais, and she might summon him before I can finish the 2 of them off. How is this even possible, said Tobi. For the first time in a very long while, he was shocked. Konan was the last person I would have ever expected to betray you. Which was true, unlike everyone else who joined Akatsuki for their own reason. Konan was strictly loyal to Pain. Everything she did was for him. And she had stayed by his side through thick and thin since they were younger. That makes 2 of us, said Pain. It was hard to tell what Pain was thinking. Well, he was controlling the body of a doll, so yeah. What are you gonna do about this? Asked Toby. Pain was silent for a moment as he understood the real question that Toby was asking. What was he going to do about Konan? Was he going to kill her, his dearest friend? The friend that had been with him through thick and thin, through everything, that agreed to capture Jinchuriki with him, the woman that he had a major crush on, but the same woman that just betrayed him for the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, telling him that she can no longer fight by his side and understand his ideal, and using the ring with a Harishin seal on it to save Jiraiya, calling the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, and betraying him and everything that they have worked for. I will deal with her the same way I will deal with anyone who has made an enemy of God. Toby nearly snorted. He may be powerful, but a god. He was nowhere near god level. Still, he will allow him to be delusional. He was needed if his plan was going to be a success. Well, you will have to deal with her another time. Attacking Konoha at the moment is no longer a viable option. And what about Konan, said Pain, turning towards Toby. It was like this man was telling him how to move and do things. Despite him being the real leader of Akatsuki, he was a god, and this man was just a human. She is a loose end. She knows too much of my secrets, said Pain. And chances are the Kyuubi Jinchuriki already knows them, said Toby. If she has the ability to summon him, that means they have been working together for some time now. And to think about it, it made sense. Toby always wondered how did Naruto manage to arrive at the Hidden Sand. Well, Konan has been spying and giving him information all along, stopping them from being able to capture the Ichibai. Then, we should deal with her right now, said Pain. That was the only thing that made sense in his mind. His best friend had betrayed him for one of their enemies. The only way to rectify that was to kill her right now. It is very likely that Konoha already know all of your secrets, Pain. If you go there, they will be ready for you. And not even the powers of a god that you speak of can stand up to the full might of the village. Do not underestimate the power of a god, Madara. Dealing with Konoha will prove little of a trouble for me. You fool, said Toby, as he was finally losing his patience. Do not underestimate the ninjas of that village. He may have hated Konoha with everything that he got, but they produced some wonderful shinobis that the world has ever seen. The Namikaze brat is not something to be trifled with, even without calling upon the Nine-Tails' power, or if you do not recognize that yet. He has mastered his father Harishin to an incredible degree, and his ability to use seerless ninjutsu is outstanding. While I have no doubt that you will win in a one-on-one fight against him, it will not be an easy battle. And if you fought against Konoha, you will not just be fighting against him. Most likely, Tsunade Senju will be there, Kakashi Hatake as well, and the rest of the Konoha shinobis. And Konan will also be fighting against you as well. Then what do you suggest I do, Pain asks, his voice becoming more calmer. We cannot allow such a loose end to live. Konan knows everything about our plans and she knows all our weaknesses. Leaving her alive will prove detrimental to our plans. Chances are she has already given Konoha all of her secrets. If she had been working with Naruto for so long, she would have already told him everything. So we're at a stalemate with that for now. Right now we should gather more power. Already 5 of our 9 members have been killed. We already have the Sanbai, the Yonbai, and the Gobei. I have just been given some news that the Nimi Jinchuriki has left her village for Kiri, said Toby. And you want us to capture her on her route. She was strong, yes, she had the two-tailed Jinchuriki, but Kisame would take her down without a problem. No, she has the ability to summon Namikaze to her side. Even if you went there, he can just arrive and flash away with her. Instead, I want you to attack Kumo and capture the Hatsubi Jinchuriki. You want me to go? Asked Dave Path. It was strange for him to request him to do that, especially since Toby knew that Pain was not like the others to be ordered around. I would have Kisame go, but I have a need for him to be somewhere else. Toby shrugged, like to say what can you do. Also, the Raikage is strong, as well as the Hatsubi Jinchuriki. They call him the perfect host for a reason. While Kisa may be able to take the Hatsubi one-on-one, I doubt he can beat the Raikage. And that will say nothing about the village as a whole, as Kumo had the greatest amount of ninjas in all the shinobi nations. While they not have extraordinary ninjas like Konoha, they had the numbers. You wish for me to destroy the village then? While Kisame was strong, he wasn't able to destroy an entire village. but Pain could do that. With Konoha treachery now in the open, it would only be a time for the other nations to know about your abilities. If Konoha was working for the Kyuubi Jinchuriki strictly, that means right now only Konoha know about your abilities. But it's only a matter of time before they send out the information to the other villages. We need to strike now while they have no knowledge on your capabilities. Very well, said Pain. He will deal with Konoha later. Kumo will fall by my hand. It is time to show the world what a god can do when angry. As Toby wanted to snort again. He may think that he's a god now, but soon enough if everything went as planned, this world will see what a true god of shinobi was. Back at Konoha, the trip was, well, subdued. After Snazzy had grilled Naruto about not telling her everything, and grilled Konoha about information about the Akatsuki and Pain, they were let free. They would have spent this time, Naruto would have shown her around Konoha, but the two of them were just exhausted. After entering the large house that he will be now sharing with Konoha and Yujiro, the pair took off their shoes and headed inside. As he turned and looked at her with a small smile, why don't we get something to eat before choosing a room that you want to sleep in? Konoha frowned for a moment. If it was not the fact that she knew that another woman was living here, that she hadn't met yet, she would have insisted on sleeping in his room. As things stood, it would be best to listen to what he said, so there wouldn't be any unpleasant situation with the other female. She didn't want to cause trouble like what happened to Yujiro and me. That sounds fine, she said as she followed Naruto into the dining room. Why don't you have a seat, Naruto said as she sat down at the dining table, as she watched Naruto start to cook, going into the fridge and moving all around. The dinner that Naruto made was a stir-fried. Not that he could be blamed. With everything that's happened over the last 24 hours, he was exhausted. As Naruto started to serve, one of the residents that was barely here entered the house. That smells so good, Fu mumbled, as she was following her nose. As Naruto and Konoha watched Fu as she plumped down into the chair. This was rare to see her here, seeing that she was always at the Aburame clan grounds. Would you like to eat with us, Fu? Naruto asked. Yes please, she said. As Naruto saw that she was completely oblivious to Konoha's presence, wondering if the hunger was the cause. Let me get you a plate, he says. He went back into the kitchen, as he grabbed the chopsticks and the plate. As Naruto and Konoha watched as Fu started to put a large amount of food in her plate. You're pretty hungry today, Fu, Naruto asked. As Naruto was grateful that he made so much, because Fu take a amount that could feed Akimichi. That's quite a bit of food. Are you sure you can eat it all? Said Fu as she stuffed her face. As they started to watch Fu just inhale the food. Where the hell was she putting all of it? She's so tiny. As Konoha was just sitting there watching Fu. After a few seconds, which seems like hours, Fu patted her belly. Now that really hit the spot. Thank you for dinner, Naruto-san, she said. You're welcome, Naruto said. Not even he was this bad when it came to ramen. Fu then looked around. Naruto-san? Who is this? Oh, yeah, Naruto said. You haven't met yet, have you? Realizing that Fu just noticed Konoha. This is Konoha, one of my betrothed. It's a pleasure to meet you, Fu-san, said Konoha. Fu gave her a bright smile. It's nice to meet you as well. She then tilted her head. Wait, if you're one of Naruto's betrothed, how do I never see you come over? As Naruto was looking at Fu, he was not ready to tell anyone. Well, Tsunade told him not to do anything about the information yet. That Konoha was a spy in the Akatsuki. As this would have definitely happened with Yujiro, who haven't yet met Konoha. But Konoha decided to fix that. I have come over before, but since I was on a long-term mission that required me, I could not stick around for too long. Oh, that makes sense, said Fu as she got up and stretched. I think I'm gonna hit the sack, she said. I'm pretty tired from all the training I've been doing Shinokon and his family. Alright then, said Naruto. Bye you two, said Fu as she left the dining table. Naruto-kun, said Konoha. Yeah? I don't think I'm very hungry anymore. Neither am I, said Naruto. Later that night, Naruto's mind was spinning. He was still thinking about the entire thing. What if he had told Jiraiya earlier? Now, the man had lost an arm and it was difficult for him to use ninjutsu unless he learned one-handed seals. As Naruto was thinking about all different possibilities until he heard a knock on his door. As he got up and walked over to the door, opening the door he saw Konoha wearing a blue nightgown that went past her knees. As he noticed that she was nervous, seeing the look on her face. Konoha, he said, as he tried to figure out what was wrong with her. What's wrong? Can't sleep, he asked. "Can I come in?" she asked. Naruto gave her a nod and moved aside as she came inside his room. As she went and stopped right at the window. As she crossed her arms, she released a small shiver, but it was not because of the cold. He walked behind her as he wrapped his arm around her, as she leaned right into him. "What's wrong?" After a few seconds she spoke. "I was just thinking about what happened in the hidden rain. When Jiraiya Sensei fought with pain," she said. "When I first stopped him from trying to kill Sensei, I tried to talk some sense into him, to make him see reason. However, he wouldn't hear any of it. I always thought that eventually he would come to see what he was doing was wrong. A part of my hope was that I could bring him around to see that what we were doing was wrong all along, but he didn't listen to me one bit. She stopped for a second. As she closed her eyes, he was perfectly willing to kill me because I didn't agree with him. Despite everything, I never knew that he would be willing to kill me. We've been friends since we were kids. But he was. If you hadn't shown up, I would have been dead before the day was out," she said. The thought of Konoha being killed made his insides boil. The very thought of someone who meant so much to him be killed by her own best friend, that she had stood by for her entire life, it was just making him boil. However, when I found out that pain was perfectly ready to kill me, it made me realize something. What we are doing is dangerous, more so than even being shinobi. Our desire for peace can only be achieved when the current system is gone, and that will create a lot of enemies for us. With what we're doing, any day could very well be our last." As her hands grabbed his arms, as she loosened them on her, moving around slowly until she was facing him, she reached up and cuffed his face. "And I don't want to die with any regrets in my life." Naruto grabbed her hand and gently kissed her palm. "None of us are going to die, I promise. I'll protect you and everyone else." "You cannot guarantee that," she said. "Why are you telling me this?" Naruto asked. "Because when either of us can die at any moment, I want to make sure I live my life to the fullest. More importantly, I want to show the man I love that he means the world to me," she said. As she pulled him close, their breath, as they could feel each other's breath as their lips were inched away from each other. "I want to give myself fully to the man that I love." With those final words, she pressed her lips against his as he started to kiss her back. After a bit of tongue wrestling, she pulled him over to the bed. Time skip. The next day, the sunlight washed over Kumo as Okoi Yoshimo. He was an average Chunin level ninja with a katana strapped to his waist. It was his job to patrol the southeastern border along with his squad. Right now, Okoi's squad was patrolling closer to the border. It was their job to set up the first net in their formation. He was in Squad 16 while other squads patrolling the other areas. Squad 16, he heard the report in his ear. "Anything to report? Over." As he heard his Jonin voice over the line. "Nothing unusual to report. Over." "Roger that. Squad 6 and 7 will rendezvous with you at Alpha Point." Alpha Point was a small underground bunker, currently 2 meters away from their current position. When they reached Alpha Point, all of them, they saw a man standing there with spiky orange hair and piercings in his nose and his ears. His eyes, that was the strangest that they ever seen. It was purple with ripple patterns in them. This didn't look like any Jutsu Okoi as ever seen before. Okoi then noticed something, the cloak, as he looked over at his subordinate. "Who are you? Identify yourself," one of them said. The man stepped forward and then moved off with a burst of speed. Out of nowhere, under his cloak, a rod appeared as he drove it right through the man's chest. "It's the Akatsuki!" Mai shouted, another one of the squad members, as Okoi was shocked. He knew of Akatsuki, everyone did, a group of missing ninjas who were after all the Bijus. They have been forced to step up their patrols on the off chance that one of the members sneak in and try to kidnap B or Yujito. As Okoi could only watch in shock as the man moved off with a burst of speed, straight over to one of his best friends, one of his drinking buddies, and drive the rod through his chest. "Okoi!" Mai snapped at him. "Don't just stand there like an idiot! Form up!" As Mai pulled 2 stilettos and started to channel lightning chakra through them. As Mai had a great talent in lightning manipulations and throwing weapons, as she was on par with some of the most powerful ninjas in their village when it comes to lightning affinity. Lightning release, piercing fan. as Mai threw the too sharp knife at the orange haired man with tremendous speed. All that Okoi could see was the weapons bursting through the air, a blue streak that traveled towards the man that just killed two of his teammates. Okoi was shocked when he saw the man didn't even move, and the two blades were blown away. Mai pulled with more weapons before the man raised his hand, as Okoi saw that Mai was being pulled towards man. Before Okoi could even blink, Mai was impaled by the blood rod, as blood burst from her mouth. As the light in her eyes started dim, he pulled her straight off his rod and threw her away. As Okoi just stand there in fear, as the man appeared right in front of him in a burst of speed, the last thing he saw was those eyes, those purple ribbon pattern eyes. Pain looked down as he threw Okoi's body away, as the other members appeared behind him. As the other paths looked out. Squad 16, have you reached Alpha Point yet? Report. Pain glanced on the tuning that he just killed, seeing the earbud as the voice became louder and louder, asking for a report. It looked like he had a few more small targets to deal with before he can reach Kumo and get his target. Meanwhile, in the village, it was a peaceful, quiet day. Nothing was out of the ordinary. As the 6 paths of Pains, they were looking down on Kumo. Right at the Deva path feet was a corpse of an Anvu, and around him was a lot more corpse. All of the patrol keepers, all of them were now dead. According to information that they received, the Hatsubi Jinjulki was really in the village, so Pain had to get information and then obliterate this village, and then went on to find the Hatsubi Jinjulki. At the same time, he didn't want to fight against the Hatsubi Jinjulki, the 4th Raikage in the village at the same time. He knew that he would win that fight. He was a god after all, but he knew that he wouldn't walk away from the battle unscathed. Yes, it was probably for the best that the Hatsubi Jinjulki was not here. No sense in fighting the perfect host along the entire village at the same time. Time to get started. The Prida path held down his hand, as the summoning path, a girl that was replacement for the one that Jiraiya killed. She stepped on the Prida path's hand, as he tossed her straight up in the air. She tilted her body as she headed straight down towards the village. She flipped herself as she landed on a roof as she went through several hand signs. Summoning Jutsu, as she summoned the 5 other paths. As Tendo muttered, scatter, and all of them disappeared in the wind. As Animal Path made it to the center of the village, most of the patrol were Chonins and Genins, so she just fly past all of them. As she went through Hansign Landing, as she summoned a large 3-headed dog that started to rip through the village, as explosions went off. Ninjas were too late as they were squashed by the dog. Meanwhile, the robot path was over to the other side, as he was taking care of the lowly ninjas over here, slicing through them with his arm blades. As he fired off missiles into a busy street, massive explosions shook the ground. As his head opened up, as several missiles fly out of it went into all paths of the village. As the explosions went off in a boom. It was hard to pinpoint his location because he was destroying everything. Meanwhile, the Prida path was surrounded by several other ninjas. As all of them, their body were coursing with lightning. They were going to combine their jutsus and take him out. As the rest of the ninjas pulled their swords to rush in if he managed to dodge the attacks, while the others charged the lightning bolt together. But Prida simply held out his hands, as the man's eyes went wide. Their lightning was just going down to nothing. What the hell? The jutsu, as he was absorbing everything. The surrounding ninjas seeing that jutsus failed. They dashed forward to engage him in battle. But Prida was good at taijutsu. Moving at a speed that most of them couldn't follow, he grabbed the first boy in front of him, smashing his head into the ground with so much force. The ground tile exploded. He then spun his body as he smashed the cake right to one of their faces, sending him smashing into a building side. Another flash in front of him and swinged his blade. He ducked underneath it as he smashed his fist into his gut. The man coughed up blood as he was sent sailing into a building. What the hell is this guy? One of them said. He's a monster, as he started to assault the rest of them. Meanwhile, the human path had his hand on a man's head, as he scoured the man's mind for any information he might have on the Hatsubi Jinjulki whereabouts. But the information was really kept secret, seeing that he was the younger brother of the Raikage. While they knew that he was in the village nowadays, they didn't know exactly where he was. Like all the others, this man did not know where the Hatsubi Jinjulki was. As the human path removed his hand, removing the man's life as well, the man's lifeless body dropped to the ground a thud. Human Path then looked up as he saw a large blue beam coming from Robot Path that fired out the beam and destroyed several major buildings as he went off to find the next victim. A few minutes earlier, before the assault on the village, damn it Amoy, you always have to overthink things, Samui asks. They had just came back from their last mission escorting Yujito towards Kiri. As Amoy was ranting about one of his next possibilities, I'm just saying that carrier ninja wasn't carrying top secret missions that could destabilize the entire country. Not only that, but if someone could steal documents from us, it means that our village is not secure as it should be. Who know what other countries and village would— Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up! Shut the hell up, she said. This was one of the only bars in Kumo as the Raikage didn't like when they indulge himself. Want his ninjas to always be on top shape. And she hated it for many reasons. Seeing that many of the men in here were always staring at her chest. Yes, Minnie has always compared her chest to Snavy's, but it was really hassle. It always gave her back pain, and it was not good for her taijutsu and kinjutsu. And now all of the men in here, all of them were just staring at her chest. And now Amoy was here. When she just came in here, she claimed a seat by herself all alone. And then he arrived, and now he's coming up with all these hypotheses, these what ifs, that's just making her angry. They're annoying you, said Darui, as he sat down at her table. As she looked back, well, they are annoying, she said. Before anything else could be said, there was loud explosions that rang through the village. What the hell is going on, Karu said as she got up from her chair. Maybe some new techniques or technology gone out of control. Or maybe it's an earthquake that managed to reach up here. Or maybe the village is under attack. Who would be stupid enough to attack the village, Karu asked. They were the most militarized village out of all the hidden villages. Who would be dare enough to attack them? As the group made their way outside. Is that a giant three-headed dog? Asked Darui. Samui nodded. Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't seeing things. What the hell is going on, Karu said, as she made up to the roof as well. As she saw the large three-headed dog. As Amoy landed on the roof, as he was shocked to what he was seeing. We're under attack, he said. Could it be? Said Amoy. Yeah, it must be. As Samui looked over at him. As Samui was not surprised that he figured out so soon that the Akatsuki was probably the one attacking their village. Aliens, he shouted. Her sweat dropped. Aliens are attacking our village so they can capture us and probe us. As a powerful fish smashed into his face by Karu. Idiot, she shouted. There is no such thing as aliens. Stop overthinking everything. It's obvious that the people attacking our Akatsuki, said Darui. I'm going to inform the Raikage about this. I'm sure he already knows, but said Darui. Go do what you need to. Me, Amoy and Karu. We'll go and defend the village and see what we can do. He nodded as he jumped off towards the Raikage's mansion. I don't know if we can do anything about that dog, Amoy said. We're not really a unit made for mass destruction. Well, if we can find the summoner, we may be able to force them to reverse the summon. At the very least, we can keep them occupied so they can't summon anything else. Right, said Karu as she slammed her face into her palm. All we need to find is a summoner and kill those bastards before they can do anything else. Let's go, said Samui. Moments later, I guess you already know what is going on, said Darui. Where do you want me? Find C and get over to that damn three-headed monstrosity and take it down. When you do that, find me. I'm going to be going after the leader of these idiots at A. Okay, said Darui. He then noticed something. You should take the— There was a loud crash. The door, he finished. As he saw the Raikage burst through the window. Shaking his head, he went back down the stairs. As he knew there would be a lot of more damage before the Raikage find his enemy. Meh, I'll apologize to the people whose stalls are destroyed later. Meanwhile, the dog had 4 heads now. As one of its tunings were bringing all the people to the bunker, telling them to come this way. One of the other elite Jonins had blasted the dog with an incredible strong lightning jutsu. But instead of going down or being reverse summoned, the dog actually grew another head. It was impossible for any of them to take it down. One man actually jumped on the back of a dog trying to stab it, but it devoured him alive. As none of the envoys are here, all of the patrol envoys are already dead after Pain had assaulted them after entering the village. But Samui and her team was searching for the summoner. If they can find the summoner, they can force the person to reverse that thing. As Samui looked up to see all type of lightning jutsus, all A rank going up, being thrown at the dog. but nothing was really causing much damage. As Samui watched, a group of shinobis pool their lightning jutsus together and create a massive lightning dragon that charged straight forward. As a collaboration jutsu, this was probably above S rank. The massive lightning beast smashed right into the dog as there was a loud roar. As a massive explosion went off, lightning was blasted everywhere around the area, as everyone had to squint their eyes because the sight was blinding. When they looked around as the lightning went off, they saw the street, everything was gone. It was just a massive crater, but at least the dog was gone. It looked like they destroyed the summon, Samui said. But that didn't mean they were out of the blue yet, as there was another poof, as they saw a large centipede appear out of nowhere, as the thing started to wreak havoc on the village once more. But guys, we'll be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part, if you already know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.